welcome everybody. This is Dr. Liisa Hall of WellSpine KC, and we get to talk about sleep. So over the next 30-40 minutes, we're just going to dive right into some of the best strategies you can take on as far as improving the quality of your sleep and hopefully quantity too. I know too many people are telling me these days they're not sleeping enough hours. So the sleep we get, we want to be really high quality, but also I want it to be for longer. It's time we go to bed sooner. So I'm Dr. Liisa Hall. I have been a chiropractor for 15 years. We've been at WellSpine KC here in Kansas City, Overland Park specifically, for 4 years. Before that, we were in Boston or Danvers, Massachusetts for 10 years. And so in this time, we've taken care of hundreds, if not thousands of patients. And honestly, one of the most common themes is a lack of sleep. So I love this opportunity to take right now to talk with you about this. And I just first and foremost want to recognize you for showing up. There are a lot of people who complain about sleep and not a lot of people who take the actions necessary to actually get better sleep. And so thank you for being here. I will not waste your time. We'll make this hopefully entertaining and informative. So let's just jump right in. First, also, you've probably found us online, but do use us as a resource. We've got a WellSpine KC private Facebook group you can join. We've got public access videos and resources that you can just get access to, but certainly take us up on that stuff. I'll give you more information as we go as far as staying connected with us, but look us up and just stay connected to resources like us that will give you positive health tips that you can use every single day to make your life better. So find us online and let's go. So you are designed to be healthy. I think that might be one of the most important things I get to tell our patients and really the public as a whole. You are designed to be healthy. It's absolutely natural for us to be healthy, for us to age gracefully, slowly even and gracefully. It's natural for us to awaken each day grateful for the opportunities that lie ahead for us to have more energy than we need. It's natural for us to crave exercise and healthy food and have a healthy relationship with people and a general feeling of happiness and contentment. And I say this every time I do a workshop because I think we've moved away from nature. We've started consuming foods that aren't natural and we live in very unnatural ways, and we've got artificial lighting extending the hours of our day, so much so that we've stopped resonating with nature. And I want to remind you that you are a natural creature, and so you're meant to be healthy, and that is our natural state. So if you're not experiencing that right now, you can return to a natural state by doing things more naturally, believe it or not. So the opposite is true also, meaning it's unnatural to be unhealthy and sick. And really what I want to focus in, of course, today talking about sleep, is that it's not normal to wake up tired, and it's not normal to have trouble sleeping. So if you are, it's time we stop it. And again, thank you for being here, but it's not going to be of any benefit to you to just sit there and listen to me if you don't actually take some action and make some changes in your life. The average American apparently hits the snooze button at least 3 times every morning. And I hate that. I hate that. I don't know that anybody gets great quality sleep in 9 minutes at a time. And then you've got these ruminating thoughts of like, what does the day have ahead that might be negative? And it just starts you off on the wrong foot. So this is where I see us as being today, and I want to just change that. The health crisis that we're in is that we as Americans are consuming so many drugs, and a lot of them are for sleep. And then the ones that aren't for sleep, the next one on the line are antidepressants. And I believe fully that if we got better quality sleep and more sleep, we would be less anxious, upset, depressed, and therefore taking fewer of those drugs. So I want to talk cost comparison a little bit here too, and just say, the financial cost of taking medications or even buying tons and tons of over-the-counter herbs and supplements and teas and all the things you need in order to fall asleep, that's a huge expense to your pocketbook, but it's also a huge expense and toll on your chemistry and your physiology. And putting all this stuff in when really we need better lifestyle habits isn't, to me, a healthy long-term solution. So we need some better solutions here. As a chiropractor, I love that I get to talk about the nervous system every single day. It is our master system. It's our electrical system. And we know we want and need as many amps as possible. We need as much power as possible. So this system not only has to be present, which it is in all of us, but it has to be fully functioning. not just getting by. We need full power all the time. And you can look at this image and kind of get overwhelmed by the complexity of it, but I actually look at it and love the simplicity of it, which is very basic. Power source in the brain sends all these wonderful messages down that lifeline called your spinal cord, and then off of that cord, we've got branches, just like branches off a tree trunk, that then go to all of our parts. Those parts are getting information from your brain, but they're also sending information back up to your brain. And so if that system isn't in balance, there can be messy information, overwhelming, negative, unhealthy information getting up to the brain that throws your brain waves out of sync. You have two halves of your brain. We've heard a lot about right brainers and left brainers and how they think differently. You can categorize the left brain as being more analytical, right brain more artistic and creative. Both are wonderful and necessary, but they also have to be in sync with each other. And with chaos in the body, our brain gets out of sync, and it absolutely is one of the biggest reasons I see people aren't sleeping well. How this shows up in a chiropractic office, very obviously, is changes on an x-ray. Of course, when I'm doing a proper evaluation with somebody, I'm going to talk to them about their health experiences, their symptoms, if they have any, and then really also look at their posture, their ranges of motion, how well and how freely they move, what their balance is like, if they can close their eyes without feeling uncertain about where they are in space. And then, of course, look at x-rays. And x-rays show how that structural support system, the spine, or your spinal cord suit of armor, is doing its job. Is it protecting that spinal cord? And when it's not protecting it, it causes even more chaos up to the brain in that messaging system. So I hope that makes so much sense. I'm trying not to complicate it too much. It really is a very basic reality. Brain talks to body, body talks to brain. So an unhealthy neck, so we've got our normal on the left, just like I had just the normal up here. We see that beautiful curve. We see this top bone up here pointing up nice and high. It's 30 degrees. That's normal. It's healthy, what we're supposed to see. And the head's resting right up over the shoulder. Everybody can understand this x-ray. I'm not trying to make this complicated. I'm really wanting this to be basic for you. Some people have x-rays of their own spines on a disc at home. Look at it. Look at your x-ray. If you haven't had that taken, come into a chiropractic office like ours. Insist on an x-ray so you can see for yourself, is my lifeline protected? This is a big deal. So here's an example on the right of a 16-year-old who came to us because of narcolepsy, so sleep disorder to the max, right? This is a kid who wasn't able to get his driver's license. He had played a significant amount of football, actually, so there were plenty of head traumas, but I don't know exactly where his original misalignments or stresses to his body started. It could have been childhood. For a lot of us, it was the birth process. They say 90% of us had a traumatic birth, enough so that things misaligned in our spine. That being said, he showed up at 16, and if you look closely at his neck x-ray, which is the one on the right, it's actually so straight, it's going backwards. So it reverses its alignment, and what happens inside that spinal cord is those nerves get tractioned. Since nerves carry electrical messages, if you're pulling, twisting, torsioning them, it's impossible for them to function normally. And how that manifested in his life was a lot of like body aches and pains. He didn't recover well from some of the hits he took on the football field, but also he would just fall asleep at the drop of a hat. So when we were taking care of this particular patient, he moved and we haven't seen him in a number of years, but while we were taking care of him, I saw in our office him fall asleep on every single visit in that first month or two. So he couldn't walk into our office without falling asleep at some point. And it could be standing up, leaning against a wall, it could be sitting, but narcolepsy was very real in his life and he would just pass out. 3 big problems with his spine, actually, if you look at it. Reverse neck curve, 0 degree, actually a little negative up here at that top bone atlas, which means there's torsion at the brain stem, because the brain stem actually goes through C1. And his head was coming forward. So really significant spinal cord trauma. I have to tell you, 3 months later when we reshot x-rays on him, his spine had barely changed, but his nervous system was so much healthier because in that short period of time, we'd already restored normal motion, so much so his posture was better, his head position over his shoulders was better, his balance was better, and most importantly, the messages going up to his brain were so much better in sync that he was sleeping through the night, which meant he wasn't falling asleep during the day. By the time right before he moved, his mom came in crying, literally, because his doctor had just taken away the narcolepsy diagnosis, and he was going to get his driver's license. So it's a very real thing to look to the spinal cord, or specifically look to the spine, and see if there's interference that's causing brain imbalances, preventing sleep. I know that's an extreme case. You may not have narcolepsy, but if we can help someone with narcolepsy, I would assume that we can help you fall asleep naturally and or stay asleep. So in our office, this is how we do our full new patient evaluation. I know some of you may kind of jump in and onto this video and you'll see parts of it. So I want to make sure that I don't just set the stage and tell you, hey, you may have a problem without giving you a solution. So like I said, I really respect people who take action, and the action that I'm trying to inspire from you today is that if you are already a patient in our office, thank you. Take the tips that I'm going to get to here shortly. But if you're not, come into our office. We're in Overland Park, Kansas. If we are not close to you, contact us, message us, text our office. Our number's there. You can visit wellspinekc.com and get more information, but very specifically, if you contact us, I will help you find a chiropractor in your area who specializes in proper spinal care, and we will get you the care you need. So I just really want to make sure that our world is getting a little healthier every day and not moving the other way. So we do goals assessment, posture evaluation, I've mentioned these things, range of motion. Thermography is really a fantastic tool as well, great technology for measuring differences in the spine side to side in muscle firing as well as nerve firing. So even without an x-ray, so for children under the age of 8 or for pregnant women, we can do very similar nerve testing without taking an x-ray. So thermography is great for that. And of course we do report of findings to show you everything that we found and exactly if we can help, how we would do so. So normally, I mean, if you did all of that testing in a medical environment, if you're just guessing and adding it up, you'd be pretty close on with $1,500, $2,000 worth of testing. In our office, we keep it really low cost. It's actually only $350 for everything that we do because we want everybody to have access to proper evaluation. But if you're following up from our video, you can literally schedule that whole thing for $100. So I don't know anywhere you can get that kind of testing and report to know if in fact your nervous system is the reason you're not sleeping well. I would want to know. So if you haven't had your spine checked properly by a chiropractor, certainly take us up on that. If you know someone who hasn't, make sure they do. This is a really simple no-brainer in my opinion. All right, so we're at a crossroads. It's either you continue down the path that you're on right now or you make a change. It really is that simple. I think one of the greatest privileges I have in practice is I get to just ask people, are you ready to make a change? And I get to see lights come on and people literally do it. I just was texting a patient this morning who is thanking me so much for following up with him and keeping him accountable with the changes he's making in his life. And he's sleeping so much better just by getting adjusted for a few weeks. But now he's saying, well, wait a minute, I could eat healthier and I could move better. And so he's making some massive changes simply because we're asking him to and telling him that he can because it's natural to feel good and he wants to do that too. So please consider, are you ready to make a change? If not, shut off the video, go do something else. But if you are, like, let's do it, let's go. So why aren't you sleeping? Some people aren't sleeping because they're just worried. I mean, we've got the threat of COVID and life and politics and all the things that go on, and it's lives with our children and spouses and friends. We've got challenges, but start to really ask that question for yourself. What do you think is the number one or even top 2 or 3 reasons why you're not sleeping well? If you don't know, that's okay, but I have the sense that most of us have some kind of underlying intuition on why we're not sleeping well. Also, do you need more sleep? And how much sleep do you actually need? We'll talk about that in a second. Do you need to stop doing something that's interfering with your sleeping? Do you need to start doing something that would help you sleep better? And this is the biggie. There's 3 components to sleep: how quickly you fall asleep, how well you stay asleep, and then how you feel when you get up in the morning. If you're falling asleep within seconds or less than 2 to 3 minutes when your head hits the pillow, you are not sleeping with good quality because you're exhausted. Second case, if you are waking up during the night, either for no good reason, I mean, it's not a pet jumping on the bed, waking you up, or some outside noise or interference. If you're just waking up because you're not in a deep enough state of sleep. There's something else going on there, and typically that's brainwave patterns that aren't in sync. And then lastly, if you're waking up tired, we got a major problem. People who consistently wake up tired age faster, develop more chronic diseases, literally die younger, and live lesser quality lives. So this is no small issue. We really have to get to the bottom of it. So decide for yourself, what is it that needs to change? And maybe it's all three, and that's okay. We got you on that. Lost sleep can cause. If you're dealing with any of these, please don't blame other sources, because honestly, sleep is almost always the #1 cause of it. There can be other factors too, but lack of sleep will absolutely cause anxiety, depression, digestive issues, headaches, other sleep disorders, menstrual and other cycle issues, pain issues, thyroid problems, other hormone imbalances, lack of focus, even seizures can be caused by lack of sleep. So when we're sleeping, we have this wonderful fluid that surrounds our brain and spinal cord. It's called cerebral spinal fluid. And that pumping system that we actually have for that washes away the toxins that your brain produced during the day. If you're not sleeping, you don't wash away those toxins. And so what Alzheimer's researchers know today is the buildup of that toxicity breaks down and causes damage to the brain cells or neurons, nerve fibers, and increases incidence of dementia and Alzheimer's, which really isn't just a lack of proper focus, or lack of focus and memory issues. Isn't that just a precursor to those too? So if you have a lack of focus and memory issues, this is a big warning sign from your body saying, I gotta change something. So stress comes in all shapes and sizes. Of course, it's physical, slips and falls, car accidents, sports injuries, sitting at our desk too much, getting stuck on Zoom calls, Zoom meetings for hours on end. Our poor kids these days on the computers for more hours, this is really affecting them. We have got to deal with that. So physical stress, chemical stress. I was saying this about medications earlier. You know, that just creates this onslaught of chemistry changes. And it does, chemical toxicities do bioaccumulate. We don't burn through some of them very quickly. Some we do, many we don't. I actually have a friend who passed away at the age of 30. He was taking sleeping medications and I believe an antidepressant at the same time, taking it as prescribed. Took it, he was 30 years old, it was Christmas Eve, took his normal dose and just didn't wake up on Christmas Day. That was a decade plus ago already. But I always think about him and I never forgot that, because when they did the autopsy to see if it was a suicide from an overdose, they certainly saw it was chemical overdose, but not from one incident. It was too many months or maybe even years of taking that same medication. So this is a really big deal. We can't just keep overloading our bodies with chemistry. And then third is emotional stress. And I would love to have a whole big conversation here about prayer, meditation, deep breathing, silence, you know, driving in your car with nothing to listen to, just enjoying silence, just getting our bodies back to a place, or our minds back to a place where they can be calm. But it's a much bigger conversation for another day, but worth considering even right now, that maybe our emotional stresses need to be mitigated or managed at the same time. We know what that all looks like. I kind of hate this example of this medicine cabinet. People talk about their bathrooms, everyone's bathroom is a medicine cabinet. My bathroom doesn't have a medicine cabinet. And even if it had a cabinet that opened with a mirror, I sure as heck wouldn't call it a medicine cabinet. So many of us don't keep drugs in our houses. But consider that. Is that what your family's seeing every day? Do we have stuff that just, we take it as automatic, that we're just gonna put chemistry in our body? I'm not a big fan. There are some medications that might be keeping you alive. I am not here to take you off your drugs, but I am here to say that turning to them, especially if they're not prescribed and you're just wandering the aisles of looking for sleeping meds, we've got to reconsider that. All right, so stress affects your brain function. It shuts down your nerve system's ability to rest and recover. It actually prevents you from being able to heal your cells, tissues and organs, and ultimately prevents you from functioning in a normal, balanced way. Stress, like I said, is physical, chemical, and emotional. You've got to look at your life from a bird's eye view and just see, I know there's plenty of stresses, but which are the top ones that are affecting you the most? It's time to look at those, because I guarantee they're interrupting your sleep. Put beautiful images of living well in your brain. Right now, it's very easy to kind of get into some stinking thinking or negative, short-sighted living. We're not living very expansively with COVID. We're not leaving our houses and traveling as much as we would typically want to or be able to. And so it has created, I've noticed with some of our patients, a little bit more limited thinking. And I just want to ask you to start opening that up again and looking for possibilities. Maybe when you can travel again, where do you go? Maybe if you can't go to your normal workout facility, what could you do at home that would just get your endorphin levels cranking again and help you feel better? Start putting better images in your brain, because life is good. It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be enjoyable. And it really never is when we're exhausted. I mean, any of us who have children, we know those sleepless nights and how they create such a weird brain fog that takes you out of normalcy. Recognize it for what it is, and that you can get out of that brain fog too. I just love that kid so much. Anticipation is the electricity of childhood. I actually believe anticipation and curiosity is the electricity for life. I think as adults, if we're curious and we can anticipate great things, we can have much better quality life. So I've alluded to this already, but why does it matter that you feel better? Why do you want to sleep better? If you don't have a really great reason why, I probably can assume that you're not going to make the changes that are necessary to get some better sleep. So I've already mentioned we have to get our brain waves in balance, but even just recognizing that there are different brainwave patterns. There's alpha, beta, delta, and theta. And our alpha are heightened states of focus. I hope everybody has experienced this, where you're just really into a great book. It could even be a textbook for a class, and you're just like, wow, this is amazing. And your brain's just firing, you're right in that moment. Those are alpha wave patterns. And beta is very monkey-minded. Beta is where we go when we're, there's just too much going on. It's almost like video game mode is kind of what I think about. It's like you're just bouncing from thing to thing. If you're living more in beta and not having good balance time in alpha as well, it really is going to set your brain up for the wrong patterns at nighttime too. This is why I love when people drive or go for walks in silence. I've always been a swimmer. I love swimming. It's my favorite place. And I can't even fathom the idea of putting in ear pods or like listening to music while swimming. It's like my happy, quiet, silent place, and I just love that so much. So when I see swimmers with like listening to music, I think that that's cool for them, but I could just never do that. So having a place where you have pure silence is really good for creating better balanced brainwave patterns. Theta is dream and dreamlike states. That is actually where we go, where our kids go when they're in video game mode. That's why we can't have too much screen time for our kids, because you don't want to spend too much time in theta either. But delta, of course, is where we want to be when we're sleeping. So we've got to get our brains to a delta place. This is another great example of a before and after x-ray. Actually, one of our kiddos who was really struggling with sleep. And he came in because I think it was really more a matter of like hyperactivity and like erratic behavior when his siblings were doing really great. And so when we took the x-ray, I talked about how this is our little guy's first x-ray, and I talked to his mom about the fact that his neck is literally reversing. It's going backwards, which is very dangerous, very scary on the spinal cord. But I said, can you just see how that's closing down his airway? Like, he's physically not able to breathe well. I said, does he snore? Like, for a 6-year-old, is he a big snorer? I know he wasn't getting good sleep because she said that he was a restless one. But I was like, he probably isn't getting oxygen. He's tossing and turning, trying to breathe. So it turned from like this hyperactivity conversation to a sleep conversation very quickly with him. And mom just totally got it. She's like, that is not a healthy x-ray. It's supposed to have a big, beautiful curve. He does have this top bone up pretty high, but if you can look closely at it, it's totally crooked too, from the other direction or from the side. A few months later, he's got this beautiful neck curve, his head's up over the shoulders. I mean, so much went right so quickly with him. But honestly, mom didn't really care about the x-rays as much as she cared about the fact that within weeks of him starting care, he was sleeping, not snoring, waking up rested, and was not hyperactive at all during the day. He just felt grounded and in his body. So again, the nervous system is your master system. It must be healthy. I'm going to talk about other health tips, but I guarantee nothing is as important as the nervous system. It's always where we start with patients. Another great example, this is one of our adults who came in, and I like this example because everybody likes looking at x-rays from the front and back. They're kind of creepy looking, but really cool too, I think. If you look at this gentleman from the back, there's a real obvious curvature to a spine that's not scoliosis. It's not as extreme as that. You needed a larger degree for it to be called scoliosis, but it's not about naming it. It's about recognizing that the pathway from the brain to our body's parts, the heart, the lungs, the digestive system, our muscles, needs to be as direct as possible. And when it's not direct, we get static on the line. It's called nociception, not static in neurology. But what nociception does is it keeps that brain out of balance. So a few months later, beautiful alignment, again, sleeping great, better focus. He actually had headaches and low back pain at the same time. Probably wasn't healing well from that because he wasn't sleeping well. It just all goes hand in hand. So anyway, all of that was doing a ton better, and he's just a happy guy. Remember, if you haven't had a proper spinal checkup, I'm gonna just keep coming back to this because I want you to have solutions. Coming into our office for $100 to get full spine x-rays, all the testing you need, and really a couple of doctors who genuinely care about you. This is a hard thing to find, I think, these days. And so Andrew and I really pride ourselves in caring deeply about you and your quality of life and how you get to influence the people in your life. So take us up on it, and if you already are getting adjusted, think of someone who you know is struggling, because when our peers are healthier, when our family's healthier, when our friends are healthier, we're healthier too. So I'm going to keep coming back to it, but I really want you guys to take us up on doing the exam and or giving you more information. We can set up literally complimentary consultations. I'd be happy to talk to you over the phone. I can help you find a chiropractor who's in your area if we're not. But yeah, we can set up a consultation at no expense and then an exam for just $100 if you want to do that. All right, here are some sleep and Rem busters. Remember, Rem is rapid eye movement, and rapid eye movement happens when we're in our deepest level of sleep, and we've got this like wonderful balance going on with our brain chemistry. What I'm going to talk about is Rem busters, things that will stop you from getting there. And I've talked about physical, chemical, and emotional stress, but very specifically, I know I'll say words that you're going to think, oh gosh, that's mine. Write it down. Make this real for you. In my office, I give out a sheet of paper that's probably 10-point font, double-sided, covered in all these ways that people lose sleep and things that interfere with sleep. And my assignment is always read through every one with a highlighter or a pen in hand and circle or note the ones that are you. Like you know that that's a bad habit of yours or something that you do that you could be better at. And then once you've marked all of those, just pick one or two of them and decide a time, preferably today, to change it. Some of them you can change in an instant. Some of them you can't, and they take more time. But just chip away at the biggies will absolutely change your life, oftentimes within the first 2 days or 2 nights. All right, so caffeine and alcohol, these are given, we know that. Alcohol, what it does, it takes so much work for our organs to process it in the night that oftentimes they kick into higher gear, and that interrupted metabolism will wake you. So we don't want to be having to process a lot of toxins at night. Dairy and some grains, this surprises people. You might not even know that dairy isn't giving you, digestive upset or gas, but that you're not metabolizing it well, and so it is interfering with your sleep. It's kind of an easy one these days to switch out. You can trade out cow's milk for a nut milk and just try something different. But dairy and grains, especially wheat, will absolutely interfere with your sleep. If you're going to cut those out, do that only so you know, like dietarily wise, just do that to see if that is your thing, because you hate to have to avoid it all the time if it's not actually the one that's stopping you from sleeping well. Slow to digest vegetables are just dense, rich vegetables that, especially if you eat within a couple hours of going to bed, they're going to stop you from sleeping. So being aware of that. Dense meals or too much protein, big heavy meals late at night are happening too much these days. I had a patient recently tell me that they skip breakfast, they often don't have lunch, and if they do, it's a light one, and then they have their one meal a day, really big at the end of the day. And I was like, where did you learn that one? Like, where did that come from? That's anything but natural. We can't do that and then try to sleep. So just be aware of what you're doing. Sugar has a lot of names. I want you to look in your fridge, look in your pantry, and just don't make any judgments yet, but just pick up things and read the ingredients list. How many things are on there that you don't understand? How many of them end in ose? Sucrose, maltose, dextrose, fructose, high fructose corn syrup. All of those are sugar, and sugar it's a drug. It absolutely alters the way our brain functions. So we've got to be aware of how much sugar we're consuming. And really, if you want to change your whole life, cut out sugar as much as humanly possible. You can still get it from vegetables and other foods, but not in its refined form. You'd be shocked how much your body will change. And then artificial ingredients and additives, these are neurotoxins, meaning toxic to your nerve system. Your brain is your nerve system, spinal cord, nerve system. So neurotoxins are your red number 40s, your yellows, all these colors that are in food. They are toxins to the brain, and they will stunt your life. So shorten your lifespan, decrease your quality of life. These are a big deal, and I guarantee they're messing with your sleep. So looking at food ingredients and additives, artificial ones especially. Medications, worry, lack of exercise, those I think are all a given, but the biggies I want to hit on in this slide are going to be EMFs, or electromagnetic frequencies. You can actually get an app on your phone that measures EMFs and how much certain pieces of technology in your life are giving off, how many EMFs are coming off of it. I was shocked to do that with my iPad and just see how much was coming off that iPad. I never used my iPad in the bedroom before anyway, so it wasn't an issue for me to say, wow, that doesn't go in the room, but it certainly made it clear that it will never be in my room. I don't want to be sleeping near that. So it's kind of interesting that televisions, alarm clocks, iPads, iPhones, I'm sorry, but we don't have to use our phone as our alarm clock. It should not be anywhere near the head of your bed. I'm not a fan of people who do that. Mine is clear across the room. Sometimes it's not even in the same room. But clear across the room means like 15, 20 feet away from my head, and that I know is not affecting me in the way that it would if it was on my nightstand. So EMFs are a really big one, and I want you to sit in your room and look for anything that's giving off artificial light. Those are all giving off EMFs. Be aware of that. Erratic schedule is the other one I want to talk about here. So with an erratic schedule, your body can't get in sync and get in rhythm because you're not. And I really, I struggle with those of our patients who have night shift or who have like altering schedules, and every time that they get to change it for the better, I always celebrate it so big with them, like, let's never go back, please, because we don't do well with erratic schedules. Very simply, you can create a more solid schedule in your life, or a more solid rhythm in your life by just dropping in like 3 things you do every day at certain times. In our office, for example, we teach everybody to do their spinal exercise warm-ups. It's like spinal hygiene or like brushing your teeth, but they're spinal exercises. They take about a minute, but they're the first thing you do in the morning when you wake up. And it just creates this rhythm. You know, I've heard it said, like, if you make your bed in the morning, you're already winning for the day. That's another great solid rhythm that seems stupid or simple or trite, and it's not. It's like just one thing that grounds you in the beginning of your day that says, okay, this is how I start my day. I was listening to a fun interview with Al Roker, and he said he has a theme song. It's like the A-Team old school theme song. I thought that was fantastic. Every time he leaves the house or every morning, he plays that, and he's like, it's like his get pumped jam. And I was like, what a good idea. So start your day with a theme song if you want. Maybe you have a midday theme song or a midday routine. I love lunch as a midday routine. I'm not skipping lunch. To me, it's an anchoring point for my day. So it's a transitional point too, saying, okay, I've finished my morning, I'm letting those things go. What am I working on now at this part of the day before I transition to evening? Having these psychological markers or stakes is really important to keep your day in check. Otherwise, the to-do lists take over, you run from place to place, and you just don't have something that anchors you. So it's a really great key tip. And I don't care what you choose as your stake for that moment, but pick something, like put it in the ground and hold it there as your thing. Could be a song you listen to, could be a prayer you say, anything. And then last, or third place where you want to have a good rhythm is have there be a time in the day where in your home it becomes obvious we're shifting gears. You're no longer in 5th gear, you're not like cranking, you're not cruising, you're downshifting. And that can be changing the lighting. We always do that in our house. We just shift the lighting to softer lights. Might be having a diffuser going with like lavender. It could be that you make a cup of tea. Something that just changes your gears. For us, it's music. There's certain music I'll never listen to in the evening. It's not going to be helpful for sleep. But there's also certain music, like sleepy music, I'm not listening to at lunchtime either. So pick the music that works for your family or for your mood in that room. Just those are the things that are simple, but they're critical in creating a more balanced routine schedule. I've already discussed sleep affects every aspect of your life. You must have REM. The golden minutes are a really big deal. Golden minutes are the best quality sleep hours. It's between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. Obviously, you need more sleep than that. That's only 4 hours. But really, we need to be asleep during those hours. It has a lot to do with lunar cycles and planetary movement, but it really is a great time for us to get the best quality sleep. So in our house, we try to be fast asleep by 9:30, certainly by 10, but even usually 9, we're in bed. And then sleep as much as your body needs. You are the only one who can really determine how much sleep you need on a nightly basis. So many studies have been done, really great studies have been done more recently, and it is a resounding truth that every adult needs at least 7 to 9 hours. It's kind of a big window, but if you're someone who needs 9 and you're always getting closer to 7, this is going to really affect your life. So find a weekend, a time in your life where you can actually study this about yourself and see, when I go to bed at, say, 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, all these number of days in a row, what is the average time I wake up at? What was my quality of sleep? What amount of sleep do I think I actually need? And maybe during the week you're getting a little bit too little, and then on the weekend you're getting tons of sleep. That's a great indicator that you're not getting enough during the week. So maybe a nap is something that you need. Not all of us nap really well. I need a nap for like 2 hours or nothing. So I just don't nap. And a 20-minute nap isn't going to do it for me, but for many people it does. And those who nap actually live longer, research shows, and have better quality lives. So if you can be a napper, do so. I wish I could. 7 to 8 hours of sleep is ideal. And this is talking about adults. Teenagers can need, in the teens, number of hours, like 12, 13, 14 hours of sleep. Don't judge them. They need more sleep than we do. They've got a lot going on in their bodies and their hormone systems and their nervous systems. Just like you wouldn't wake up a sleeping baby. They need like 17, 18 hours of sleep when they're newborns. They kind of cycle back towards that as teenagers. So elementary school kids, Jackson's turning 9 in December, so almost 9 years old. He needs a good 10 hours of sleep a night, and sometimes he'll get 11 or 12, and it's just what he needs. So we're aware of that, and we make sure he's in bed on time and that we're not waking him up too early if we don't have to. In order for your body to properly heal, you need to sleep. Just hear that. Just really hear that. So our cells, I talk about health as basically as I can in the office and do so with our patients. And I like to say that when the number of cells in your body are breaking down more than they're being repaired and built up, you're moving away from health. You're moving towards dis-ease, not disease, but dis-ease, a lack of ease in the body. So more breakdown than repair, you're moving towards dis-ease. And if dis-ease isn't stopped or interrupted or improved or corrected through better cell repair, you move to disease. You will have a diagnosable disease. Takes some time sometimes, but you'll get there. That's the bad news. But when your cells are repairing more than they're breaking down, you're actually moving towards health and wellness. So that is inevitable. That's natural, and that will happen whether you see results or not. So it will be the result when your cells are repairing more than they're breaking down. And that's why we need sleep, along with great nutrition, but that's a separate workshop. All right, the more you stress your body, the more you tax your body, the more sleep you need. Hear that, please. So when you're under more stress, when you've got too many deadlines or you've just got a lot of great physical workouts in the week, you need more sleep. So just recognize that, plan for it. Look at next week. What does your day look? What does your week look like? How stressful is it? How much do you have going on? Is it necessary for you to take some things off your plate if that's possible? And if not, how can you prepare yourself by getting in bed, even if you're not snoring or you're not fast asleep? Even just being in bed, laying down, listening to some lovely music, listening to a great app that maybe has a meditation or binaural beats that can just help regulate the nervous system. That is going to be absolutely critical to help you stay on track with your health. So optimal sleep conditions, again, I'm going to keep coming back to the nervous system. As a chiropractor, I can tell you all these great things, and I will tell you a handful of them. But really, if your nervous system isn't healthy, you're not going to get there as fast, if you even can get there. So just a heads up on that. Complete darkness. We have blackout curtains in our bedroom. They have been wonderful. I love that, and it makes a big difference. And when they're not lined up properly, I notice it right away. I can see every crack of light. I can still sleep with it, but I just know that it's a benefit to be in complete darkness. So that's not a hard thing to do. Just get some blackout curtains. A cool bedroom. I have a hard time saying this one because I hate cold. But 60 to 68 degrees is what research says is our ideal sleeping conditions. And even last night, I woke up because I was cold. So I'm not a fan. But it just depends on what you guys can agree on as a couple if you're married and how you can get the best sleep. But try out different temperatures and see where do you feel like you get the best quality sleep. It's also really cool that, of course, we've got our Apple Watches and there's Oura Rings and Sleep Number beds with the coolest technology that can give you direct, objective feedback about how your quality of sleep actually is. So where your heart rate sits, what your breathing rate is at, how restless you were. So even if you don't remember it the next morning, you can look back at this research of your own and see, well, how am I sleeping? And so you could change the temperature in your room over a course of days or weeks and then just see how does that affect me. So cooler apparently is better for some. A few to know electronics. If you are going to be one of those people who has to be on electronics before bed, I mean, obviously I'm not a fan, but get that thing out of the room when you go to bed. Like if you're gonna go to sleep, don't just put it next to your head or on the floor. Like actually walk it out of the room. We really shouldn't have it there. No loud alarm clocks. You could wake up to light. Like you could wake up to an alarm clock that gets brighter as it plays, or it could play nice music. You know, pick your favorite song. Maybe that's your theme song that you wake up to. There's just so many great options, especially with our phones these days, that your alarm can be really nice to wake up to. No work, no TV. Stop working in your room. Oh my gosh, and you know what? Model this for your children, because we should not have a working space, an office, a desk in our bedroom unless it's very clearly definitive and separated from bed. Please, I mean, I remember one of the first things that Jackson's online teacher told me when we had our conversation in the summer preceding this school year was create a space that is his and his alone, and it cannot be his bed, a couch, you know, something that's not conducive to really working. So you work when you're working and you're not working when you're away from that space. So this one's a biggie. I know far too many adults who've got their laptop in their bed, they're doing work at it, and then your kids are gonna model that. So how we live is really how we model their living. No obvious disruptions like noises or unsettled pets. I know some of you have to sleep with your pets. I just disagree. Our dogs have almost free reign in the house. They don't get to jump on the couches either, but they barely toe the line into our bedroom. When they do, I just have to like clear my throat and they back up. Like they know they do not come into our bedroom. And that has just been something that was really important for us to establish early on with them. And they respect that barrier because we respect our barriers. So we respect our bedroom. It is our sanctuary. We don't work in our bedroom. That's not where we shouldn't be unsettling ourselves mentally. And then physically, we shouldn't have pets or whatever unexpected noises. I mean, you can't control the neighbors all the time if there's something outside your window, but you can control a lot of the sounds that do or don't make it into your room. Talked about when to go to bed. Exercise before noon is best, but I've actually seen many people who can exercise late in the evening and still sleep really well. The key really is just get it in. You're really better off. You just have to burn off your stress chemicals so they're not there swimming around making your brain waves out of sync so that they keep you up at night. Meditate. Many people will say that if you meditate at night, it'll interrupt your sleep. I really do believe there are variations with people. So meditating in the morning will absolutely improve your quality and quantity of sleep. But if you can't sleep, you could just meditate to sleep. Like just close your eyes, listen to some great guided conversation, and you're out. And that's, you know, just a great way to ease yourself into it. Healthy tea or music routine. I think that's just a smart way to end your day to create a good like stopgap for work. And of course, avoiding alcohol a couple hours before bedtime. Talked about work already. Interestingly enough, if you really just need a good like quick fix, take a hot shower or a hot bath, because that initiation of dropping our temperature back to normal actually increases our sleep hormones, our happy sleep chemistry, and so we'll actually fall asleep a little easier. So by having your body need to make a drop in temperature from the hot shower, hot bath, to then cool sheets or like a nice comfy bed, it actually does instigate the sleeping process. So that's a neat little trick. Relaxing music or binaural beats. Binaural beats are very available. I mean, you can download anything these days. So just type in binaural beats and it actually stimulates the brain to get into a normal wavelength pattern, left and right sided. Pretty amazing. You can download that stuff for free often. Read something lovely. A lot of people tell me they read like these intense things at bedtime and then they have these crazy dreams. I'm like, well, it's related. So like read something lovely. Maybe it's something you've read before. It's not too surprising, but you just enjoy the characters or the story. You know, just bring happy into your nighttime routine. Bring things that make you feel good. Journaling, of course, is a great one too. Get your thoughts out on paper. I've had so many people say, well, you know, I woke up and I just was thinking about this project I'm working on, blah, 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 and I didn't want to forget. I'm like, okay, so write it down and then go back to sleep. So that thought will be waiting for you in the morning. A lot of artists already know this. I mean, our great artists who are constantly creating, they will just voice record something into their phone or a device that they keep on their nightstand, preferably not their phone, that then they can return to in the morning without having to stay up and like write out a whole song. Like just make concessions for your life to be a little easier at bedtime. And then think about people and things you're grateful for. I know for most people, they wake up and we've got this like natural, I don't know, is it natural? Like a tendency towards stinking thinking in the middle of the night or worry and fretting. But if you just stop and think about things that make you happy, it oftentimes will lull your thoughts back into sleep. I don't know anyone who can think stressful thoughts without having a physiological change in their body, which then means more endorphins, more cortisol, and less sleep. So I have a happy place I think of in Massachusetts called Kripalu. It's a great yoga retreat, and I don't get to go there very much anymore, but I used to go all the time when we lived in Boston. And so if I can't sleep, I just close my eyes and I walk onto the grounds at Kripalu, and I'll walk the labyrinth that they have that's mowed out, and it's wonderful. I get to hang out with people who I know and love, and I get to eat amazing food, and it's just a really happy place. And so in my mind, I just go there. And then sometimes I dream I am there, and it's just a lovely way of keeping me healthier. And then I wake up feeling happy and rejuvenated because I've dreamt those things too. So take advantage of this stuff. My dad has a silly trick of he builds saunas. So my dad's a Finlander. And he's just really brilliant engineer, analytical mind, and so he will lay in bed if he can't sleep, which he's a great sleeper, but when he couldn't sleep, usually because of stress, he would just go through his mind. He'd build a sauna, draw out the plans, cut the wood, smell the cedar, like all those wonderful things that made him so happy. So it could be anything, but pick yours. Get one. Pick one for you. That might be one of my favorite things to tell you to do because it's a good one. A couple last little like housekeeping things. All of this is great and fine, but if your mattress stinks, oh my goodness, like good luck. So the rule that it has to be 7 years old or younger is lie. It's not true. That was a myth that's very popular that was propagated by mattress companies. They want you to buy a new mattress every 7 years. That's not true. Some mattresses are dead in 1 to 2 years. Some mattresses will last 20 years. It just depends on the quality and also how heavy you are, your sleeping pattern, whether you can flip it or not, whether you can move it around. But I have to say, if you don't know, then sleep somewhere else. Sleep in a hotel and see if you get better quality sleep. And it's different on vacation. Sometimes our stresses are less, so we think it's that. But think about your quality of sleep and whether you're actually getting what you need. Sometimes a quick fix is just changing your bedding, changing your pillow. My favorite pillow is under 20 bucks at IKEA. I absolutely love it. I think it's crazy that people will spend $200 on a pillow and then still complain about it. Most of the time it's not the pillow, it's your neck. Bad neck curve won't sleep well on any pillow, so that you want to find out. But really, like a simple feather pillow I love. We sleep on king-size pillows because you can stack it up and make it thicker, or you can flatten it out and make it thinner, but a feather pillow is really versatile. The thing with your pillow, though, is you want to make sure that's allowing your head to lay level. If it's too thin, you're over here, too thick, you're over here. And think about that. How well is your brain getting messages from your body if you're in this cramped, kinked position? Again, it's all about the brain. It's all about the brain. It's your electrical system. If you're laying in bed and you're just buzzing with stress or anxiety, that's your nervous system. It's out of whack. So these are really big factors. And then are you waking up in pain? And I don't mean that in the morning, although that can be the case too. Sometimes you're just so uncomfortable that the pain is waking you up. Like you have a shoulder that needs to be dealt with. Get some physical therapy, get some chiropractic care. We deal with every single extremity. I adjust feet and toes and ankles and shoulders and hips and like whatever your body needs as far as alignment goes. Get that, because the quality of sleep that really is waiting for you can be significantly different just because you can't get in a comfortable position because your body's just not good. And maybe you just need a good personal trainer. You need to work out, you need to move in better ways. But there's lots of ways of helping your body feel better so that it's not waking up in the middle of the night. All right, let's wrap it up. So we want you sleeping better. I hope that this video really gave you some powerful tips that you will take seriously. I live my life making things as simple as possible. I live my life telling people things they already know. I really only intended on putting in a few things that you didn't know, and I wanted to just keep saying the things you probably have been thinking yourself. Because we need someone in our lives to hold us accountable and to tell us that we can do it, and that it is natural to sleep well, and it is natural to fall asleep easily and stay asleep and then wake up rested. That is absolutely how I live. I sleep brilliantly, and I love that, and I want that for everybody because I know how challenging life can be, especially if you're not sleeping. So please, whatever you need from us, call us on it. Like, text us at our office number that's up there. You can visit our website and download resources to help you live a healthier life. But ultimately, get your spine checked and see, like, is that something that's stopping you from being healthy? Andrew and I just, we've committed our lives to this. We've taken care of thousands of people over 15 years. I've never seen, I want to make sure this is true. I've never seen anybody who has a misalignment in their spine not do better when we deal with that directly and specifically. And so I want that for you too. I want you to live as well as you can. So again, take us up on it. We'll do a free phone consultation if you want. You can come into our office for an exam. We'll do the x-rays and a follow-up visit with a report of findings, and include your family and friends. We all need it. So be well, everybody. Thanks so much for your time and attention, and go get some sleep.